Okay, Nick Houston here for Gotham Sound and Communications on day 2, the end of day 2, NAB 2022. And last for today, but certainly not least, Jim Pace from Plus 24,
Hey.
Sanken, among other things. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for coming by and saying hello.
Great.
Appreciate it.
So we are live, so if
Yes.
anybody has questions for Jim,
Right.
please put them in the chat and we will try to get them to him to answer.
Yes.
So obviously Sanken microphones, very popular microphones, but we all know the microphones are good, but tell us what's been going on with you for the last while, because it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Obviously, we had some downturn issues. We had obviously supplies issues. Japan, where the microphones are manufactured, had particularly difficulties in labor, not so much parts, but that also became part of it. And their rules and their quarantines made it difficult. So the R&D staff was at that time finishing up products for the studio recording microphones. So those products came to fruition, but they're not a volume manufacturing item. We sell dozens of them, not hundreds and hundreds of them. And typically, as you could predict, last year we had a lot of issues with product manufacturing for COS 11s, and it was mostly about labor and people. So midsummer, obviously, it was the worst of it. Fall started to get better and better. The company made more commitments to try and get more things involved, and it was an all hands on deck situation. They had people in the R&D staff working in assembly lines. And that took a little time, but in January, February, it started coming to fruition. Our volumes now are back up to what they were before pandemic. We expect to get caught up on orders probably by the end of June.
Wow.
But I must qualify that, but the number of orders we've had have increased over the last year by 20 or 30%. So it's not only catching up to where we were, but to try to keep up with the new demand. And some of that is because of the healthy rebound of parts of the industry. Parts of it are the streaming services now. They're having more and more titles, more and more product, and not only in production but in post, because the microphones are used in post as well. And it's a worldwide growth. America typically leads what happens, but in the last 3 years, the rest of the world has caught up, and now we're seeing Sanken products being epitomized in many countries around the world, especially Europe, right? But it's still a third generation family. They're quite proud of what they do. They started with the grandfather in 1925. This is their identity. They're proud of what they do, and they're thrilled by it. One of the highlights was we got a SciTech award, a SciTech plaque from the Academy for the COS 11, which is on the sign there, and it's actually, you'll see we actually have the award on some of the websites. And that was 3 years in development, primarily because the Academy had restrictions and COVID issues, and it took a long time for the committees to actually do the research they wanted to do. And when I gave the presentation, I was the only audio product presenting out of 25. And you get up in front of an audience, you give a presentation, and we were the only audio. And I've been told by some of the Board of Governors that part of that was it reflected an idea that audio had not been promoted as well as it should have been, and it led to a number of other companies also getting SciTech awards because they realized they were past due and those sorts of things. So we're happy for all the companies that got them. It was a labor of love, and for me it was a personal way to extol just the professionalism and the passion that the people in Japan do for this. It is, like I said, it's their identity, it's their family, that's what they do, and it was very, very gratifying in that respect.
Can you tell me exactly what that means?
So every year there's a SciTech Awards, the scientific community, technical committees within the Academy, which are sound, picture, post, et cetera, color, cinematography, things like that. They have, someone has to nominate a product, and then they go through a very thorough research, and they study the origin of your product. They make sure that it is an original concept, that it is ubiquitous for the film community, not just any other community. It's not for industrial or things like that. And they research it carefully, and they make sure that what you did was unique and was a contributing effort to the art of making movies. Right? And then it goes through a series of regiments, and there's a number of people that comment and do those things, and they all research it independently as well. And they come back, and as a committee they make decisions, and then they come back with a list of people that they think they want to do it, and then at some point you're just told, congratulations. There's no back and forth, there's no negotiating, they just do their research on that level.
Got it.
And I was fortunate enough to be part of the online SciTech Awards last year, which is unusual. Usually it's just the manufacturers, but because their English is what it is, they invited me to participate. And for me, it was an opportunity to thank the community that I find, and I need people to understand, as part of my presentation, I did it originally, is that when you have colorists and people like that, those are artists, those are considered artists. Well, a production sound mixer is an artist in itself. It's a person who has to deal with extremes, including the lack of authority and the lack of time and all those things to do, and what they do is really important because a take is a take. It's not something that you throw away. It's not something that is easily replaced, and it's certainly in the art form, there's a value to that. So I got the opportunity to do that in my presentation, which was, for me, gratifying, personally.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
okay. Well, I'm going to open it up to questions
Sure.
and see if anybody has anything.
Sure.
Are there any questions for Jim Pace of Sanken and Plus 24 on the internet?
No questions yet.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Jim, is there anything else that you want to add, anything you want to say? Or?
Well, sure. I mean, like I said, our products are fully back into place now. Our CS M1, which is our short shotgun behind you there, again, that's been doing really, really well, and it's finding homes in places you wouldn't necessarily think, including podium mics and all sorts of areas like that. We've had our quality control has been very tight. It's been very good. It is typical for us to suggest that people work with established and qualified people like Gotham so that they get the right product, right terminations. So that's been important for us. But overall, I'd just like to say that the company is healthy and it's doing well, and it's just a matter now of just trying to meet the expectations that we're all trying to hit right now. And it's a difficult time, but we're seeing progress. We're seeing things have gotten a lot better.
Good,
Yeah.
okay, great. Well, if there are no further questions, I am going to wrap up day 2 of 2022. Joey, anything else?
No other
2022.
questions.
Okay.
Great.
Jim, thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
so much.
Really appreciate you
That's
hustling
right.
back
Yeah.
to be with
Yeah,
us.
that's okay.
And it's good to see your face
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely. Everyone.
As always, you can watch this video and more at gothamsound.tv. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter for all the latest news, and email us at info@gothamsound.com with any questions. Thank you so much for watching. That is the end of NAB 2022 for us.